All right, so this is going to be a brief introduction to Java. We're just going to go through some of the basics and get you guys set up so you can start working in Eclipse. First thing you want to do is establish your workspace. Mine's set up such that it's in C users, my username, and then Eclipse workspace. It will default these first three, and then it'll establish Eclipse workspace or workspace, however, in its own format. So you can hit launch. This is the newest version, I believe, and then you're going to see this window. If you don't see this window, in the top, let me see if I can shrink this a little bit so it's a little bit more visible. So in the top right here, there's this viewer, Java browsing. If it's on anything else, you won't see a lot of those things. So you have your task list here if you click the Java screen, but if you want the normal view that most people see, it's the Java browsing. So this is going to be your work window, like your working window on any of the classes you're currently working on. The console output, this is what the user is going to see. And then you have your package explorer. So this is going to show your projects, your classes, etc. Blah blah blah. So let's go ahead and hit File, New Java Project, and we'll just go ahead and call this my first project. For projects, you typically have, I believe, and people have different conventions, but I believe it's capital letters. I don't think it really makes a huge difference, but it's just for readability purpose that you would do no spaces, and then capital letter, lowercase letters to follow, and then on the new word, capital letters. You can keep the default location in your workspace. If you want it somewhere, like if you know the code is going to be really big or you want to set up a new location, you can do that. I recommend just keeping it the same for now. Obviously, the execution environment, you can leave it at 1.8 until further notice. This is going to change what your code gets hung up on, but we can talk about that a little bit later. And then just go ahead and hit finish. So now you'll see that this new, in your package explorer, this new package has been created. You can click the little arrow to the left, it'll expand it, and you'll see that you have your library, which is all your resources in .jar format, and then you'll have source, your SRC folder, your source folder, which has package and, well, this doesn't exist yet, sorry. So it should have just an empty package structure. So we're gonna go ahead and hit, you can click anywhere in here, or you can even click up here and click new, but just so that you can see kind of where these things go, I'm just going to do it for good practice by right-clicking on package, new, and then hit class. So this is going to create your very first Java class. This is how everything's going to be executed. So you'll see that the source folder was the one selected for where this is going to be contained into, and then you can name it whatever you want. In this case, I'm going to name it testing, as you saw earlier, and hit finish or enter. And your first public class will be created. So I guess we'll talk about these two things to begin with and why that they're dark maroon and bold. Also, I made this font a little bit bigger for readability purposes. The way you do that is go Window, Preferences, General, and then Editors, and then Text Editors. Actually, I don't think you need to drop that down. Yeah, Text Editors, and then hit Colors and Fonts. And then here you can edit, and then it'll let you choose the style that you want and blah, blah, blah. I think it's typically size 10, which is fine. And consolas or consolas is the typical one that people go for. So close that out. So public implies that it is referenceable by any other class in this project. So if I were to create a new I'm showing you the other way to do it instead of right-clicking on package, but a new task will say testing 2. It's going to create it here. Now, if I were to do anything in Java or in testing1 or testing.java, testing2.java will be able to reference anything that I've done in the public environment. I know there's a lot more to that. I'm not an expert myself. This is just, just to get your feet wet in the world of programming. But that is a very generalized explanation of that. And then class implies the type of, I don't want to call it an object, the type that you're dealing with. So this is a class. Everything that's going to be in here is a class. There are subclasses and superclasses. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then the name of that class. So this is almost like self-referential, right? It's saying, hey, we are in public class testing, just so you know. Now, these brackets imply that everything between here and here, opening bracket and the close bracket, we'll call these curly braces brackets, and we'll call these brackets square brackets. But if I ever just say brackets, you'll know that it's specifically the curly brace. So this is basically saying I want everything from this line through to this line on the equivalent of this line. So it's saying take anything that would just be here in this first segment immediately after the word testing and break it up over multiple lines. So that's exactly what that's doing. And it's going to make sense a little later why it does that, but the way that the compiler works is that it reads from left to right. So the first thing your code is going to see when it executes right now is going to see blank line, public, class, testing in that order. And then it's going to try and read whatever's to the right of testing because it has like a format, a protocol that it goes through every time it executes. And then after it goes from left to right, it's going to go to the next line and the next line and the next line and everything contained within these brackets. And then it'll go to the next system. If it were another bracket system, it would go to the next bracket system. You'll never see formatting like this, but just to give you an idea of how the compiler thinks. So I guess the only thing we'll do here is we'll create a comment block. Comment blocks are used to define your code. They're literally defined by a slash. I say define your code, I mean give an explanation, like a block of explanation for the code. So a slash and an asterisk is going to be your comment block. You'll notice how we've lost the maroon bolded print here. That implies that right now all this green is a comment. It's also giving me an error because I haven't finished the comment block. So now that I have this here, all of this is going to be commented out. So what is a comment? A comment is anything that the user can enter that the code will not read. It just says, hey, block this out, ignore this, and just focus on what's not commented out. So you'll notice everything turned green. If I add another one, it turns blue because typical comment blocks are a slash followed by multiple stars. And then if you hit enter, it'll auto-populate, whoever the user is. It'll say @author. This is, again, this doesn't mean anything. It's just saying this is the syntax used to say this is the author of the code. And so if you ever publish it later, it'll pull up the author and say, hey, this guy did it. Like, for example, I can do @description. Description. There we go. And then I can go on and talk about this code is going to be for testing purposes. Right. So, you can do name. First project testing.java. So, this is just kind of like, I didn't actually choose like an existing one here. I just picked a word that was good at describing it. There may be more to these symbols, but this is how I was always like explained them in the beginning. So this has all been blued out. That means when you run this code, the code's going to say run first line, comment block. Okay. Look for ending comment block. All right, we're good. So I don't need to do anything in this block of code. And then it's going to say, all right, what's the next real block of code? Public. It's going to say where my library does public exist, where my library's class exist, testing, blah, 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 blah. So that is a general explanation of comment blocks. You can literally continue to put anything you want in here and it'll automatically put another asterisk, implying that like it's a formatting thing. It doesn't need an asterisk here. Like if I took this out, I could still write to the left there and it's still going to be blue and the code is still not going to interpret it. Even if I run this, it's not going to run because it's going to fail because there's nothing to execute, but it wouldn't fail on the fact that I don't have an asterisk there. It's literally just looking for when did this start and when did this end. And then the only other thing I really want to talk about is an inline comment. So if you were trying to explain what public is, you can do this double slash feature. This double slash is going to make everything following it green. And you could say public is the type of, or maybe is represents the availability of that class. So, and then I could, go on the next line, double slash and type class, type of variable. It's not a variable, but it just, brief explanation, just trying to give you an idea of what these things are and like how they work. I can also put it at the end of a line. I know this is going to sound confusing or tricky, but you can do this here. and you can say, you know, this is an inline comment. So this is still going to read from this bracket to this bracket, and this comment is not going to affect it because you think everything to the right, but it's literally everything to the right that gets commented. If I go to the next line right now, it's not going to auto do another slash slash. It's not going to like stop me from doing it. I can just continue to write as I would and say, you know, whatever I need to say. Sure, we'll say 15. So this did not affect the fact that this is still in its proper formatting, and it's still going to read left to right and so on throughout this bracket system. So I think that's a good explanation of kind of where we need to be right now, and we'll go ahead and save this, and we will talk more about variables and scanners and stuff like that in the next video. I'm trying to keep these short, so the first one might be a little long because it's more explanation based, but it's going to be brief segments of here's what a variable is, here's how to set up a class, here's how to do a constructor, and so on. So bear with me, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.